This is the part one of a two-part series entitled Black Man, White Woman. Significantly, it was not entitled Black Woman, White Man because in the last 10 years, the statistics indicate that there is a significant increase in relationships between black men and white women and a significant decrease in relationships between black women and white men. With me to discuss this very volatile issue are two leading psychiatrists, Dr. Cress Welsing, a member of the psychiatric department of the Medical College at Howard University, and Dr. Alvin Poussant, a psychiatrist, a member of the Medical College at Harvard University, and author of the well-known book, Why Blacks Kill Blacks.
This is a video from 1973, and what strikes me about watching videos from the 70s era is that you can hear throughout this video many of the very pronounced fears of what would happen to the black community. I've actually had the opportunity to hear Dr. Cress Welsing lecture in public, and I think she has a bit of a blind spot, which is increasingly obvious even in her brilliance, as you hear her speak about the dichotomy of interracial dating in the black community.
Sister Welsing, why do you believe, basically, black men are becoming so significantly attracted to white women, or is it vice versa?
I'd like to turn it around. I think, first of all, that white women are seeking black men first. Black men some are attracted to white women, and I don't think that we can understand this phenomena unless we understand really what is the larger dynamic that is occurring not only in this society but in the world at large. And the way that I look at that phenomena is that number one, we are living within the context of a system of white supremacy, which is my definition of racism. Racism is a worldwide system of white supremacy, domination, and control. And all of the behavior that we see all over the world, whether it's the behavior of the black woman, the white woman, the black man, or the white man, is occurring within the dynamics of this system.
The beginning is pretty standard fare if you're familiar with Dr. Cress Welsing and her theories. But after that, we hear an exchange that offers pushback against the narrative versus the actual truth in terms of how excited black men are to exclusively date particularly white women.
I mean, yes, the black man has always felt, well, this is the one thing that I have been denied in this society. And so many black men, I think, at one level, they are moving towards white women as white women move. White women are the major aggressors in this situation. But the black man is playing his role because he says, well, this is the thing that I've been denied. This is the thing that is going to be the great equalizer.
I think, though, that the need has sort of been exaggerated, because if we look at those statistics you just mentioned, actually in the past decade, even with the increase, there's only about 43,000 black man, white woman marriages. That's a very, very tiny percentage. That means about 2% of black men are married to white women. Now, if we had accepted the propaganda, that is the white propaganda, that all black men desire a white woman and they want to marry your daughter, you would expect the incidence of the marriages to really be increasing at a much greater rate.
There are two particular charts from blackdemographics.com that I think are quite relevant to this conversation from 50 years previous these stats. The first one, of course, is 85% of black men married black women and only 8% in 2021. Almost 5 full decades after this round-robin interview were black men married to white women. And you can see for black women is 4%. Many of the fears that we hear discussed in this interview are not necessarily coming to fruition.
We don't have proof that most black men are programmed that way.
Do we have 9/10 of the people in the world controlled by white supremacy?
That's true, but we don't have proof
that
the black
what does
man
that mean?
is programmed.
What does that mean?
That is, we don't have the statistics to validate black men all wanting to rush after white women.
Wait a minute, look at let's be honest. If we look at what is the dynamic that goes on in the so-called black community, or more amongst black people, what is still, in the quiet recesses of our thinking, what is considered as beautiful? Still light skin, and still straight hair. Well, what does that mean?
You'll have to understand the level of reticence I have to have the audacity to counter any point that the late, great Cress Welsing would make. But I think in her discussion, she's making a point that is something that's mirrored by many people when they look at the beauty standard from the eyes of black men, is many people don't ask black men, what is beautiful to you? Because for many black men, our first crush, our first love was a black woman. For many of us, it was a dark-skinned woman that was voluptuous, that had kinky curly hair. For many of us. But if you look at the stats, you can see that it's a very slow change for most black men to gravitate away from black women, because the stats say that even after 50 years of passage of time and media changing what the beauty standard is so-called, black men still in majority numbers are marrying black women. And so the notion that black beauty is light skin, long hair may have more to do with internalization issues inside of black women than the actual truth of black men and what black men see beautiful.
All of this goes in, is involved in love, who is a suitable choice, what kind of woman does a professional man marry. You see, you can just survey. All we have to do is look at the phenomena of the social laboratory.
Yeah, that's true.
And say, well, who are the people that particular people pick to marry? And we can understand that the dynamic of white supremacy is intact even when a black man and black woman are in bed. I've talked to black men who said when they're in bed with black women, they're thinking about Doris Day.
Let me take it down to a personal level. Suppose something is operating like the, say, the black man and his relationship to his black mother or to his black father, where he develops blocks against black women, and then he generalizes it all to other black women, and then he gets involved with a white woman. Now, that doesn't mean that he's necessarily indulging in any form of white supremacy, necessarily.
He's not indulging in white supremacy.
You can't assume that
He's
his rejection of his black mother is because she's black. He may be rejecting her for all sorts of other psychological reasons.
Let's go down and look at that.
I had to think a little while whether I was going to actually remark on this video or not, but it's the next couple of exchanges that kind of pushed me into doing it, because you're going to hear a point made in 1973 that's still quite relevant today.
Second part of what was a very exciting first part, I'd like to throw the question out. What has the increase in relationships between black men and white women done to the relationship between black men and white women, in black men and black women?
Well, I think first we should say that, you know, there's interracial marriages that take place between black women and white men too, and that's a whole area, because it seems that black men always get the focus of the interest and the attack, which is interesting, because I think the society, white supremacy, has been concerned mostly with the black man, white woman. So I think that's the reverse of that. The white man, the black woman, also is a subject. There's no question, it seems to me, that black women, from what I can see, all over, very, very upset and threatened by the growing relationships between black men and white women, and that they oppose it. Now, from the black man's standpoint, I hear a lot of brothers say over and over again that first it was the white man who told them they couldn't go out with white women. Now it's mainly the black woman who's telling them that they can't go out with white women, so that they still feel oppressed. Now, for whatever that's worth, I think that's an important point psychologically for the black man, because is the black woman in this, is she more concerned with her control over black men, see, or is she concerned with white supremacy and interracial relationships in general? Because if black women are concerned in general, then they should attack just as much, I think, the white man, black woman combination.
It's very difficult to watch an interview that is this deep in content and leave so much not added into a 15-minute video. So I urge you to go watch it. But you're going to get a chance to see how differently the narrative changes when you start talking about the responsibilities on the other side of the equation.
But hasn't the black woman, to some extent, because the statistics have reversed. These statistics for black women, white men has decreased by the same percentage that the statistics for black men, white women has increased.
Yeah.
So obviously the black woman
has more cause for concern at this point.
Well, maybe
perhaps.
she has more awareness, more consciousness, more cause for concern. Maybe her concern is not due to the fact she's threatened. Maybe her concern is due to the fact that she's just politically more sophisticated and more conscious of what black people ultimately may have to do, and that is unify themselves.
Well,
let me
ahead,
just
Francis.
add this, that I think that the black woman's concern is related to, let's say, perhaps her survival as a woman or her functioning as a woman. That, and hopefully, I hope it's beyond that, the change in the statistics. But I think that, let us say, black men after the age of 15 are decreased in the population relative to the number of black women. Where are they? They're in Vietnam, they're in prisons, and they're dying from various causes at earlier ages than white men comparably. So that, let's say, there are a number of women, black women, who are going without adequate spouses or male partners to relate to. So probably, instinctively, black women are concerned about that. Historically, white men have not been interested in black or other non-white women, be they Japanese, Chinese, Indian, or whatever. They have been interested in sexually exploiting black women, but not really taking them to the altar, let's say, to marry them or to really fully respect them. So perhaps black women are responding to that.
What I wanted to do in this video was not to try and debunk the late, great Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Of course not. But what I wanted to do is illustrate the hyper-focus that has always been on the mating and dating selections that black men make, not just by the world around us, but by black women. What kind of hair do the people you date have? When you get to the $60,000, $70,000, $100,000, $200,000 marker, are you dating a woman with light skin? Oh, well, that means that all black men like light-skinned women, especially when they get on. And what's absent from the conversation is simply, what do black men want? Because the more and more that you hear conversation about dating and mating, from Passport Bros to SYSBM, etc., the question that always seems to be lacking is, what do black men want out of relationships? Instead of the assumption of those guys are going over there because they can't handle it, or they're not good enough, or they are some kind of defective person that doesn't know how to date in the dating arena. Instead of what happens in most other societies, this is a man who is on his way to accomplishing something. How can I be a good woman for him? That is a question that is noticeably absent and has been absent for quite a while. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.